Welcome to the Primary Care Podcast. I am delighted to be here today with Dr. Yusuf Rushdie. Yusuf is a GP and currently working in a prison environment. And he was also previously a doctor for a football club and also a general manager for medical centres in UAE. So, a really fascinating mix of skills and experience. So, welcome, Yusuf.
Thank you so much, Kirsty. That was very kind. Thank you.
You are most welcome. So, Yusuf, I would love to start by just learning a little bit more about why you became a GP in the first place.
I guess because of the variety of patients that you'd see, and just so much more you can do having that in your background, I guess.
Mm. Yeah, the variety is unlike any other specialized role, I guess. It's super varied. Super.
Yeah, I mean, you get this option of doing much more with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that was one of the reasons.
Yeah, yeah. Fantastic. Any other reasons at all?
Um, uh, I guess it's just a shorter course in training rather than all the other specialities. Maybe that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get that entirely. It's a very long training program anyway, isn't it? So,
Yeah,
yeah, to get cracking and get working must be a key motivator for you.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Fantastic. Thank you. And I imagine a prison environment is a very interesting environment to work in, very varied. What are the main challenges and also the main rewards, would you say, of working as a prison GP?
Um, well, in the prison, you'd see everything
Mm,
connected to men's health because I usually see only men
mhm,
uh, in prison. So you'd see everything and everything. But then these patients can be quite demanding and they would want the things done at that time.
mhm.
Um, you have to be careful to what you say to them because you don't want to aggravate them in a way where they could be harm to us or them as well.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful how you deal with such patients.
Yeah. Yeah, I can fully appreciate that, and your tact and your relationship building skills must play a massive part in
We
building.
try, we try.
Yeah, for sure. So, how do you actually approach that? Say for example, you're starting in your first week as a prison doctor, you already know what the demographic is likely going to be like.
Hmm.
How did you approach that relationship building and trust building piece with your patients?
I think it's a two-way street
Mm,
when it comes to that. The patients need to understand that we are here to help them. And we're not there to just listen and give what is at demand. That's
mm,
not how it works. We try and explain to them it's for their benefit and their health.
mhm,
So things that they ask might not be helpful to them, and those things might not be given to them. So
mm,
sometimes that can play a role where it backfires on either of us,
mhm.
where we'd have to stop the consultation because it hasn't worked out the way we'd want to.
Yeah, so maybe there's a disconnect between what they want and what they need.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I imagine that's a phrase you say quite often. Yeah, fab. Okay. And obviously, you've said it's incredibly varied. Are there kind of common health issues that come up fairly regularly? Yeah. What sort of
Yeah.
challenges are they?
Most of the things that we have problems there is with drugs.
Mm,
So a lot of drugs where people are under the influence. That's one of our major problems that we deal with. And
mhm,
then we've got a variety of other problems like diabetes and hypertension and skin problems and
mhm,
men's health. So um, it's a varied group of people that you'd get, but in the younger cohort of patients, it's mostly to do with addictions. So
Mm,
you'd see a lot of patients either uh, trying to get into rehab or getting some sort of help from us. And one of the other big issues is mental health.
mm,
So that is again a big issue when it comes to these set of people.
mm. Yeah, yeah, mental health, I can imagine, is super challenging because they haven't got the freedom of decision making that they once had, and I can imagine that's exceptionally challenging for them.
Mm, mm.
Hmm. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. And I don't know whether this is a very silly question, Yusuf, but I'm going to
What
ask
questions are
it.
silly?
Yeah. So my question is, what does a typical day look like for a prison doctor? But I can imagine every day very
Well,
different.
I usually start quite early,
Hmm.
so I'm there about seven, half seven,
Hmm.
and I'd have a list of patients which is brought down by our nurses. So the patients have this opportunity to put in whatever complaints they have through a kiosk box or a kiosk machine,
Hmm.
which then goes on to one of our nurses who would then look into what the problem is, and then they would then allocate those patients onto my list.
Hmm.
So once I'm there, then we have a set of security guards who would then bring up these patients, depending if they want to come or not, which again is a big issue, and where they are, and the logistics behind it has plays an important role as well. Anyways, once they come to me, I have a quick look at why they're there, and then I give them a shout like any GP practice, and would come up. The only thing I have to look out here is, do I get to see them like a normal patient, or is there some harm where I have to be careful? Do I need a security guard standing outside or with me inside?
Hmm.
And what have they done in their past? Anything that might have, is there some kind of disgruntled communication previously? All those information pre-hand just to see where this would lead to.
Yes, yeah. Exceptionally important information to have,
Yeah,
for sure. And also so that you can communicate that with them in a way that they're going to respond, or you hope they're going to respond well to.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, how many appointments would you typically have in a day, or is that super varied as well?
That again depends. So, if I'm doing something called patients who are coming in the first night, so it's a first night kind of clinic where I would see patients who are completely brand new,
Hmm.
but we need to see them.
Hmm.
Every prisoner that would come into a jail would be seen by either a nurse or a doctor first,
Hmm.
as part of, I would say, their getting them in the system.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if that is the case, then again depends how many they've got that day
Hmm.
or the previous day. So it can vary really. Could be five, it could be 10, it could be 12, whatever.
Yeah.
And again, my clinic would depend from 10, 14, depending on how many they have that day or how many were booked on that day.
Yeah, yeah. So you never really know. It's very, you get there on the morning and it's kind of like, okay, what do we have to deal with today? Yeah.
And there are other things that happen alongside as well. You'd have nurses coming in asking for other questions which are happening in the wings.
Hmm.
Somebody might have fallen down or a dizzy spell or is under the influence, so they'd ask me questions about that. Or somebody is in the treatment room and this is a problem, or one of the officers, something's wrong with them. You go see them. So it's a mix of everything really.
Yeah, yeah. Very, very interesting. Have you worked in a sort of normal primary care general practice previously at all?
Yes, so during my training, yes, 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 yeah,
Of course,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And what would you say are the main differences? Is it the variety and the
Um,
routine, I guess, or?
yes, you'd see much many patients in the GP practice because you're doing phone calls over there as well, and you're seeing a larger cohort where you're seeing children and women as well.
Mhm.
But here you're stuck to men.
Yeah. Stuck to men. Amazing. And do you face any ethical dilemmas or kind of security challenges or anything like that?
Ethically, well, most of our patients, when they don't get what they want to, it's usually to do with drugs.
Hmm.
Um, they would threaten us with their lawyers. But then we have a backup saying that, we are part of the NHS and these are the policies put down by us through the NHS to the jail, and the jail has its own policies which we need to follow.
Mm.
So, I mean, there are all threats. Every single day you find one complaint or a threat via lawyers or whatever. But that's why documentation is very important. That's why we document everything that is said.
Yeah.
And we've got officers with their gadgets which can record audio and visual.
Hmm.
So anything that has happened outside my clinic would be recorded. Anything they've said would be recorded for further use if required.
Yeah.
um, and yeah, I mean that's one of those important things. Security wise, I think pre-hand, if you know how it is, how this patient was previously, then
Hmm.
you can let the officers know that this might go the other way. So, please be alert.
Hmm.
So things have happened when we weren't sure about it, where, you see a normal patient and then they erupt inside
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they don't hear what they want to.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So you've got to be on red alert, I guess, most of the time. It's quite a heightened state that you need to be in as a doctor.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. You
Hmm. Hmm.
have to be alert. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Super. And what would you say are the main, because you've been a prison doctor for some time, I believe, a few years,
Well, a year and a half now coming.
year and a half. Brilliant. What would you say are the most useful characteristics and skills that you need as a doctor to work in that prison environment?
Um, I guess try not to be gullible
Yeah.
because these folk are very good at what they do and they can get things out of you in a way with either their speech or their actions.
Mm.
So, not to be scared, I would say.
Yeah.
And yes, as we discussed before, you have to be alert. And I guess use communication in a way where you're trying to tell them what you want to, in a way they understand as well,
Hmm.
and give them the care they need,
Hmm. Hmm.
basically.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, I can imagine they are very skilled and will try every kind of avenue to get what they want,
Yeah,
particularly if an addiction is there. They're going to be super creative, aren't they, as to what they tell you.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I can imagine you have to have your smarts around.
because they're quite experienced to how to get things out.
Mm,
So you have to be pretty sure what the complaint looks like and how it would be, and what are the signs basically for that.
mm, mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. There's a lot more in terms of characteristics that you need, I think, compared to a standard kind of general practice call, shall we say? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, well, added characteristics, I would say.
added characteristics for sure. I would agree from what you've said. Yeah, and then in stark contrast, you obviously worked as a football doctor as well. So,
Yes, yeah.
can you share a little bit more about that and the main, I guess, kind of differences between the two roles?
Oh, um, I would say east to west. That kind of a difference. um, yeah, and as a team doctor, I would say it's completely different because you're basically there watching a football match
Mm,
and you're attending to a group of football players who've got injured.
yeah.
So it's mostly to do with sports related injuries that you'd face.
Mhm.
You'd never see anything what you'd see in the prison. Yeah, you'd come and see things like general things like if somebody has got asthma or somebody is running a bit low on sugars or
Yeah.
things like that, or a bit low on energy, then you'd attend to that. But mostly it's sports related injuries you'd see in a football match.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, one would say that would be a lot more straightforward, a lot more predictable.
Definitely.
What was the motivation to go from the football club doctor role to working in something completely different, very complex, very unpredictable?
I don't know. I think my life has been like that. Any opportunities that come at that time, I just try to take that and try to experience new things. Life is short.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure. It is. And do you enjoy the prison role more and more?
Oh, yeah, yeah, definitely. Really good.
Yeah, yeah. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Okay, that's probably a great moment to wrap up. Um, but I really appreciate your time, and I just wanted to thank you for sharing this with us. It's really insightful, and I think our listeners will find it really insightful as well. So thank you, Yusuf.
Thank you so much for having me, Katie.
You're most welcome. If this was interesting for you, then please like and subscribe for more primary care podcasts. And if you are looking to recruit GPs, nurses, or multidisciplinary clinicians, or you are a clinician yourself looking for a post, please don't hesitate to get in touch. And one of our team will be able to talk you through what we do, the options that we have, and help you out in the best possible way. Thank you so much.
Thank you.